Twisted Soulmates, Chapter 3. A Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction written and narrated by Eleanor Rose. If you have not heard the previous 2 chapters of this story, you can find a link to them in the description box below. As a disclaimer, this series does deal with high intensity and character death, and is not recommended for our youngest of viewers. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel and check out other videos for more Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction. Now then, Chapter 3. Adrien approached the alley, gun side to the bricks beside him. A few people asked him who he was cosplaying, and he told them he was pretending to be a new My Hero Academia character. Plagg was right. Even though the thigh holster was an easier reach, he needed to conceal carry. It was a miracle he hadn't had a run-in with the police yet, considering how suspicious he looked and how illegal guns were. That, and he was carrying an HK, not an old police revolver. "I'm telling you, it's my old man!" He heard Carapace already. Was he under distress? Was the deal going sideways? He tightened his grip on his duffel bag. 2 kilos was worth 3 million euros, give or take how you cut it, and he'd brought $500,000 to show good faith. Would it be enough? Should he have grabbed a full million? Sure, Plagg would have grumped up a fuss, but better safe than sorry. He can always buy more drugs, but only if he's alive. "What, you haven't sealed the deal yet?" he said, turning around the corner into the alley. 3 guns immediately greeted him, and they couldn't see the friendly business smile he wore thanks to the mask. The man in the center of the squad of men must be Mr. Pidgeon, judging by the bird cooing on his shoulder. "And who are you?" he said, eyes flicking from the duffel bag to the gun on his side. "You sure don't look like a cop." "Of course not. I have taste." Adrien gestured to his gun. The men laughed as Mr. Pidgeon narrowed his eyes. "I don't ask questions twice. Cat Noir, as the streets know me." He threw the duffel bag on the ground. $500,000 up front. 4? Don't play games. Oh? You'll play this one, kitten." It was Adrien's turn to narrow his eyes. "You have another buyer?" "Ladybug," Carapace chimed in, arms crossed. She'd made quick work of the morning. "How did you hear about this?" Mr. Pidgeon asked. Adrien knew this was a test. He didn't care where he learned about the fentanyl. He cared about his story lining up with Carapace's. He sucked in air through his teeth, grateful they got their story straight ahead of time. "The American bakery." "The American bakery?" he echoed. It was good enough to make him doubt himself, but he persisted. "Yeah, I went there for a Kringle, and instead I got intel about a pretty good drop." "I am so sorry about your pastry," Mr. Pidgeon said, pointing a revolver at him. No, he'd gotten the backstory wrong. Carapace must have gone with some other one they'd talked about. "Okay, Adrien, stay cool. How would Keanu Reeves get out of this? If he pulled his gun, he'd be shot, and so would his partner. He needed a silver tongue. I'm not here to talk about pastries. Either you let us leave with our bag of money, or you take the deal. Those are your only options." "There's a third." Adrien knew what he meant. "If we don't come back, the price on your head will be so great you won't be able to so much as buy a sandwich without someone attacking you, much less keep your men's loyalty after they've been bought." He wasn't sure how he'd respond to that. To his surprise, Mr. Pidgeon cracked a smile and lowered his gun. Where do you get your confidence, street cat?
We work for a Kwame.
There was no need to straighten his posture, but he did trail his fingertips over his gun. The words swiped the smile off Mr. Pidgeon's face, and he sighed, making a gesture for his men to lower their weapons. We want 3.5.
You're crazy,
Adrien laughed.
Firm 3.
3.5. Mr. Pidgeon raised his gun again, disturbing the bird on his shoulder. Under better circumstances, he'd exchange a glance with Carapace first, but he didn't know him like Ladybug did. Adrien yanked his gun from his thigh, pulling 3 shots as he ran for concealment before he heard anyone else start shooting. His first bullet hit the ground as he drew his gun, ricocheting off the battered cement into the shin of a goon. The second hit somewhere in Mr. Pidgeon's left hip, and he was worried he may have hit the femoral artery. Bullet wounds can be forgiven, but dead men are forever. The third bullet landed exactly where he wanted it. The bird on his shoulder was only good as lunch meat now. He felt an impact on his backside, causing a knockback as the force dissipated across his back. He fell onto his forearms, unable to assess the damage before he hit the ground.
I've got you, man,
Carapace said, using a ballistic shield from who knows where to provide cover as he shot back.
If one of us played a sniper instead, this never would have happened, you know.
Adrien re-gripped his gun, unsure if he'd broken a rib, and placed his feet on the brick wall beside him. Nina was kneeling, shooting from waist level so the shield could still cover him. He was a good partner, wasn't he? It's a shame they hadn't worked together more often. Adrien replaced his magazine and kicked off from the wall, gun out just as he cleared Carapace. Judging by the lack of movement on Mr. Pidgeon's part, he'd nicked the artery. Great. 2 of the 3 men had run, leaving 1 still standing. Huh. The man deserved a bonus if he made it out of this alive.
Drop the weapon!
Adrien called.
Drop the weapon! Hands up!
The man moved his gun to line up with Adrien's head, but it was too late. He fired 3 shots, taking out the goon's central processing system before he had the chance to pull the trigger.
Come on,
Adrien grunted, his back growing ever more troublesome as pain radiated into his chest.
Let's get a tourniquet on this guy. You alright, man?
Carapace asked, assessing the damage on their local drug dealer. No.
Let me do it then.
No, I mean like, oh no, you know?
I'm not following.
He's bleeding out, but it's from his hip, so I can't use a tourniquet. Come on, let's pack the wound.
With what? I don't have my go bag with me.
Adrien nodded at the dead goon. His shirt. Below him, Mr. Pidgeon groaned.
Hawkmoth won't let you live for this,
he said through gritted teeth. Good. If he was talking, then he was still alive.
Perhaps not, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure you do.
He ripped the shirt Carapace wrestled off the body, stuffing it into the wound as Mr. Pidgeon screamed.
You're a fool,
he huffed.
My birdies will make cat food out of you. As much as I like your timbre, I think you should save your breath,
Carapace said, applying pressure.
Come on, let's get you up.
Where's the duffel? Adrien asked, looking around. Are you serious? He sighed, knowing what he meant. Did we seriously just lose €500,000 and are coming back empty-handed?
Hey man, my hands are full. Take up some of the slack.
Carapace laughed, adjusting his grip on Mr. Pidgeon.
You're taking the brunt of this.
Yeah. His chest pulsed with each step he took. It didn't feel like he broke a rib, but this was anything but pleasant. It was getting harder to breathe now that the adrenaline started to wear off.
How long do you think that fight took?
Clever. Carapace noticed his controlled breathing and was trying to take his mind off the injury.
I don't know, 60 seconds? I'd say 2 minutes tops. Hollywood doesn't get anything right. Coming from a guy using a German gun. What are you, American? Shut up, or I'll give you a taste of why I like it so much. Where's the car?
Oh no. Adrien took the bike today.
We'll have to call Plagg. You serious, dude? We need cleanup anyway. First we lose $500,000, and now we need our boss to do goon work. Just another day for the books. How much longer do you have to do this? The job? Don't tell me you like this work.
Adrien threw him a glance. Perhaps. He was lucky his recruitment to Plagg wasn't as bad as the conditions of some of his comrades. As expected, he got an earful when their ride came. Carapace assured Plagg he was uninjured, but still checked himself before taking Mr. Pidgeon into the back room for surgery as Adrien went to the employee break room in the cheese store. Stripping off his body armor, he could already see a bruise splintering across his back, peppered red as the force dissipated across it. Yikes. That's going to be nasty when the morning comes, but at least it wasn't broken. He reached up and bent his elbow, pressing his fingertips to his flesh. He nearly grunted in pain from it. Yeah, he'd have a purple spider web once he got a good night's sleep in him, but at least it wasn't broken. A thought hit him, tightening his chest more than the bullet's force. If yesterday had gone differently, he'd be meeting up with a girl who could help him debrief, but she'd stolen that from him. Ladybug may have not succeeded in stealing his life, but she still stole what his life should be. Who was she, really? Did Plagg know? Sure, she worked for Tiki, but if their relationship was what he thought, then Plagg would know all of the Miraculous team members' identities. Then again, maybe not. Ugh, if only the two of them weren't fighting. Then he could go find out for himself. Adrien fished out his wallet, leaving to get his only saving grace for the day. Camembert. Everything had gone sideways, but at least he could get this one thing done. One package of Camembert coming right up. Thank you so much for listening. Chapter 4 is on its way. In the meantime, you can check out these other fanfictions. I'll catch you next time!